Hey everyone, welcome to another Coffee with Kittl. I have my friend Heather back on the channel. I am super stoked. It's always fun when you and I are talking because it's like we talk forever and it's like, you know what? I should just press the record button, I think, to talk through this. But today, Heather's back. We're going to talk about, of course, Etsy. We're going to talk about SEO. We're going to talk about Etsy ads, getting your views that you want on your products and your listings and things like that. Again, if you haven't checked out her channel, it's linked down in the description for you to check out on YouTube. And do you also have a podcast? I can't remember. I
I do not.
do not have it. Okay. There's
Yeah.
so many people that's like, oh, go listen to my podcast. I'll listen to my, but your YouTube channel is like, one of the best. And it's something that someone could even have on like while they're driving or something, unless you're doing a design. But do you have plans for a podcast? I wonder if people are thinking about it.
That is so funny that you say that because literally just the other day I was telling someone, I was like, I am ready in this stage of my life to start a podcast, but I am getting married soon. And
Okay.
I'm like, it's not my time right now. I'm not in that area, but I think next year I'm
Okay.
looking to potentially start that. So
Nice.
then
Okay.
it's in the thoughts so far.
Well, you heard it here first. Get ready
Yeah.
for Heather Studio podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we'll look forward to that. But yeah, again, make sure you check out make sure you check out her channel, especially if you're trying to figure out how to succeed on Etsy. Now, today, what I wanted to talk about was visibility in general. I think this is a big question. This is even a big question for me as I've, also just personally started the Etsy journey just to see what it's all about and kind of started, doodling with some listings and stuff with my brother. And I think one big question that you're familiar with and a lot of people are asking, so probably a lot of Kittl users or new users, which by the way, if you're just joining, welcome, is how do I like get the visibility? Okay, I've done some of the research. Maybe I've gone and I've checked out some of your videos on SEO. I'm trying to do the right things. Or I'm using Kittl. I'm making what I believe is a stellar design, but there's some stuff maybe in the back end, or there's just like some tactics I'm not hitting to get the views on these listings. I've listed it. It's been a couple weeks and it's like 9 views or something. Like, what are the things you're going to say to answer that when someone asks?
Yeah. So my first thought when anyone ever asks this is I immediately go to, of course, SEO, search engine optimization is the key thing that's going to get you those views and visits. If you're not, I guess where I should start is keywords, and that
Mhm.
keywords are the most important in search engine optimization because that is what's going to pull in your specific customer and the customer that's using those keywords to get to your listings, that is the most important. So I know I'm
Right,
saying
right.
this in a vague way that's going to make sense in a second here. So one example that I like to give is, there your keywords are going to target that specific audience that is your niche, and
Right.
that's maybe why if anyone's been on my YouTube channel, I always am saying niche, and I know there's like a controversy on niche or niche on how you pronounce it. I actually have this water bottle I just got because everyone keeps saying drink every time Heather says niche
Oh,
on my
that's
like TikTok
funny.
and everything. So
Yeah.
but so it all comes down to your niches, and if you target the correct audience, which is your niche, and you get the right type of customer to your listings, that right type of customer is going to purchase that listing. Now, the thing that's going to drive that right type of customer to that listing is going to be those keywords. So that's why
Right.
it's so important to really, go deep with your keywords or dive deep in research tools or just on Etsy. I mean, there is so many free resources on Etsy to, just using the Etsy search bar and
Right.
typing in like gift for mom and then seeing what is suggested
Yeah.
under gift for mom. And then if you click into gift for mom, you're going to get the whole search populated of the bestsellers. Etsy will throw in random other listings that may have been newly uploaded listings, all of that. So it comes down to your keywords and what audience type you're going for. And what I found through my time on Etsy is going for the keywords that are very specific and targeted. So, example to kind of go more deeper into gift for mom,
Yeah.
there's so many sub categories and sub sections and like narrower niches than just the mom niche. There's cat moms, there's dog moms, and what
Grandmas. Yeah.
yeah, grandmothers, mom of two, mom of twins, mom of
Mm,
triplets,
okay.
mom of four. Those are the exact target audiences that you want to kind of dive into with
Yeah.
your keywords. So that's how essentially you can get that visibility and attract the right customer as you create those titles. So, with that being said, though, the other way to get visibility, let's say that you have all these specific keywords and you're just like, okay, I'm doing what Heather says.
Right.
I feel like I'm bringing in the right customers, but I'm still not getting enough customers because if we look at e-commerce and uh, conversion rates across the e-commerce industry, it's usually lying around 2%. So
Yeah.
that means that you need 100 customers in order to get 2 sales on your shop. And generally, if you're a new shop, you have 0 reviews, 0 sales, you're going to have a lower conversion rate just because people aren't seeing any trust in your shop yet. They may look at your listing and be like, oh, there's no reviews, no sales. I don't know if
Yeah.
this is a real person or a real, shop owner selling these products. They don't trust you enough to buy. So that's going to lower your conversion rate as well.
Yeah, that's accurate. Mine's like 1.7 right now.
Yeah, yep, and that's very normal starting off. Even my new Etsy shop I just started and began, I was having that issue as well. I was like,
Mm,
"Okay, I have no reviews, no sales."
yeah.
It takes longer to get that initial
Sure.
sale and then
Sure.
more sales. So the way to boost your visibility would be through ads. So whether that's Etsy
Okay.
ads, maybe you could do social media marketing of some sort as well. But usually Etsy ads is a really great place to start, especially with a lower ad budget when you may not know exactly what you're doing yet with ads. So
Yeah. So and I think there's also some credibility to just the sheer kind of amount of listings that are quality. I remember in our last discussion, man, which feels like such a long time ago.
yeah,
You were really suggesting, and I've heard this from many other Etsy creators, Etsy um, kind of people who teach Etsy, that somewhere in between the kind of like maybe even 70 to 100 listing ranges is really what you want to aim for. That will also be something that can help with views. And I kind of think about it like Etsy knowing that you want to play the game, like if you're like, so that in mind, and again, for my little shop, I think 20 or 21 listings because we take too long and second guess and think about our designs and stuff. When do you think would be the good option to do ads, and maybe for about how long? Because I know Etsy is going to say a bunch of stuff to you, like we recommend. Like it told me this morning when I looked at it, was like, we recommend not changing your campaign for 30 days, and I was like, yo, I'm not about to spend $5 every day for 30 days and not make any sales. That's wild. So
yeah.
like, when do you think is a good time to turn them on? Would you turn it on for all listings or just some? And yeah, like I'm gonna let you talk through that.
Yeah, I think like the usually around the 20 listing to 25 listing mark. So like what you did when you turned on your ads, I think that's a really good time.
Okay, gotcha.
So but I will say that, and you may notice this as your ads go on, that it depends on your keywords again, because Etsy, when you turn on the Etsy ads, it's using your keywords to like
Mm,
boost it on the search rather than anything else. So your keywords and your tags, title, description, what have you, that's what's going to rank you even for ads. So you could have, if let's say going back to the example of gift for mom, if that's your only, let's say, keyword terms that you're using, it may still not be attracting the right customer just because you're in a very broad category.
Okay.
That's something I've noticed for some of my listings that I'm like, okay, I'm running $5 a day ads on this and it's not doing anything. And it's just because I'm trying to attract the wrong type of customer, even with Etsy ads.
Okay.
That's kind of the tough part now is finding the right customer through your keywords and then using your Etsy ads to your advantage with that. And again, the easiest way to do that is also making sure your design, your product type, the niche that you're going into all align, and you're getting very specific, sometimes even with the design, because people like to buy things that are relatable to them. But now I'm going into a whole different tangent. Um, Going back to Etsy ads, I am so sorry. This
Oh, no, you're
essentially
fine.
why I should probably do a podcast, because then I go into 10 different tangents and I'm like, okay, I need to stop.
Right.
So, but for Etsy ads specifically, though, usually 20 to 25 listings, I think having some sort of you're basically establishing your own catalog on your Etsy storefront. So you have those 20 to 25 listings. So if someone clicks into your listing and they're like, I like this design, but I want a different phrase. And then maybe they go into your shop and they see the other phrases. They end up buying something else. I think that's a good area to start at, is the 20 to 25 mark. But Etsy ads, I've noticed, at least for my new shop as well, I kind of cranked it up from my very beginning of
Oh,
my new
wow.
shop. So
Okay.
I did $25 a day in ads.
Whoa.
One of the reasons I did that was just due to my knowledge from my previous store. I knew what
Yes.
sold
Good point.
along that line, and
Good point.
I was more confident that I was like, okay, I know these listings are different. I know my pricing's competitive. I know these designs will probably sell, not to be like super confident in them, but I had a good feeling about them.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me just put $25 a day on ads. And I had about 25 listings to 30 listings at that time when I started. When I had that, it was only that's yeah, ad spend was only spending, I want to say, one third to one half of what I targeted for the $25. So it was spending about $8 to, maybe $13 a day. And one of the reasons why was because of the number of listings I had and the keywords I was trying to rank for. There wasn't enough search volume for those specific keywords
I
that
see.
Etsy
Okay.
couldn't really spend it either. So that's one thing to think about is, if Etsy isn't spending all of your ad spend, then you can also increase your amount of listings and kind of maybe use different keywords so you rank for different things, because again, it comes down to keywords at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would say um, that's interesting. I wonder if there's just something going on Etsy, because you said like it's spending about one third, and that's exactly right.
Right.
I have five. I'm not so bold or confident, so I have $5 ads turned on right now, and it's spending like maybe $1 a day. But
Mhm.
but to your point about that, seeing some that are some that are like getting seen, some that aren't. I was only running it on one listing, and it was getting that maybe one third, maybe even less of that on that one. And then I decided, you know what? Let me turn this one on for one that already has sales, just to see. And like the sheer amount of views and spend are just coming from that one listing. Where the one I really want to get seen is this other one. And I guess there's also something to be said that one is a digital download and one is a actual hoodie.
Mhm.
But like I was like, okay, so something's something's up with this other listing that's got like 80 views in 3 days versus this one that has 3,000 in 3 days. Right. Like, yeah, I think you're spot on. And so when we're talking about kind of customizing the ads, the power is, I guess, then in, like you said, just the keywords in the listing themselves. Because I was thinking, first of all, I do like how simple Etsy ads are. You just basically turn it on or turn it off. I think that's kind of nice.
Mhm.
But there's no way that I could see, unless I'm just naive, to actually like customize an ad. So there's no way to go in there. And I was thinking I was about to turn it on and then I was going to target age, demographic, whatever. But there was not. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just let it go then. So let's just, I mean, we can just pick on me as an example. The one that has like 75 or 80 views that's barely spinning any ad, then the customization comes in the listing itself. Would that be like kind of how you describe it?
Yes, so it does come down to keywords,
Yep.
and also it may have something to do with, and this is kind of the tough part, when you're looking at your own listings and it's like, "Oh, man, like, I would buy this product. Why is no one else buying it?" Like, we
True,
all
true.
I definitely have that, like, I have my own, like, bias, like, I have seller bias where I, like, look at my products, I'm like, "I would buy this for my friend or
Yeah,
family.
like
Why?"
this is dope. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, like, what are these people doing that, like, what am I not seeing here, And sometimes it may come down to a few factors. One thing that I've seen is the main thumbnail image and your
Yeah.
competition on Etsy. So Etsy, the way Etsy ads works is it is very, like, intuitive to your potential customers. So let's say that people are just scrolling past your listing. This is probably maybe what's happening with that listing in
That
specific,
one,
that
yeah.
your competition, maybe you're ranked for, like a dog mom shirt, and you have the correct keywords, but you're getting scrolled past on Etsy when Etsy is showing it in, like, the ad area. Maybe it's showing it at the
Mm,
very top of the search. People might be scrolling past it, maybe due to the thumbnail image. It could be that
yeah.
simple that the thumbnail image, maybe it's just hard for the customer to read that they don't stop. What I like to
Yeah,
do,
possibly.
yeah, it could be, but that
It's
might,
by the way, I don't know if this helps at all, but it's I'll just say that the kind of broad category is like streetwear because I
yeah,
noticed that streetwear was starting to, I mean, it's not the first place you think, right? But if you get into the sub niches, which what I was trying to do in the streetwear style, I was like, Let's try that." We talk all the time about streetwear and Y2K on Kittl. I can use Kittl to make something. Anyway,
yeah,
um, so I'm wondering, yeah, it's when you said maybe it's too hard to read. I was like, maybe it's too hard to read. I don't,
yep.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes it could be the design that just people don't stop at, like,
Mm,
and this is one thing I've seen with some prior clients and students I've worked with when I look at their shops. Some of the listings, like, I go through people's listings as if I'm a customer on Etsy, because I am also a customer on
sure.
Etsy. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure most people who sell on Etsy also shop on
Oh,
it,
yeah,
and
100%.
yeah, and for me, what speaks out when I'm looking at people's stores is how easy is it to read, and does the listing, the main thumbnail image, pop out to you? Like, let's say you're using a very colorful design over a colorful T-shirt as your main mock-up in that main thumbnail image. It's sometimes those colors blend with the colored T-shirt, and when your listing is showed, competing with other listings on Etsy on the search, you might be getting scrolled past just because the colors are blending too much in
Mm,
the main image that people aren't
yeah,
even stopping to look at it. They're just like, well, this other listing caught my attention. So
got it.
sometimes that could happen.
Yeah.
Not saying that could be the main reason, but sometimes that can happen with your design, maybe at the mock-up selection. What I've stuck to, and this is something that I've just done, and it's working for me. I stick to black and white sometimes.
That
As
that's what I'm doing because 'cause I'm
yeah,
like, I just want it to be if it's a black hoodie, which this one is,
hmm,
it's like on a very pastel-y, not pastel, that's not the right word, like beige or tan, uh, background, but the problem with that is almost all streetwear is kind of that way.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, so, and I guess that's part of, like, the competition too on Etsy, like,
Yeah,
if you're in streetwear, then there is a specific mock-up type that's just probably selling for other people, and that's generally, like, I hate to say to go with what everyone else is going with, but generally, like, that's kinda what I stick to as well. Like,
right,
I'm like, "Okay, I see that the bestseller in this niche that I'm trying to be also a bestseller in
right.
is using, let's say, a sand colored Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt as their main mock-up photo with a black design on it. Then I will be like, okay, what can I make better? Like, I'll make maybe a different, I'll use a different mock-up image, but it's still the sand colored Gildan 18,000 as
Oh,
the main
sure.
one,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, to compete, and then that still stands out in the crowd, even though it looks kind of similar,
The
but
same.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just one thing that I found. That's kind of that common line, that's why Etsy ads isn't spending, because maybe you're not getting the clicks, and they're kind of saving you the money too, where they're like, okay, this
Which is
listing,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of like Etsy's just being that nice, family member that's just like, maybe this one's just not going to work. We're going to protect you from spending too much on your ad, or
Right.
it kind of acts as your own ad management tool. It's like, let's just not spend on this one because it's getting scrolled past on Etsy.
Yeah.
So the one that is getting clicked that you mentioned, it's probably because it's standing out above the rest. And
Mm.
sometimes it does take time. How long have you been running your ads again for?
Since Friday, maybe.
Oh, nice. So not long at all then.
No,
That,
no, and one of them, so that, the another question that I was gonna, or you can go ahead and finish your thought, but one thing I had in my mind was I'm actually getting a lot of saves. No sales, but saves. But yeah, if you wanted to finish your thought on the length of time.
yeah, no, I mean, that's good, to hear, because sometimes what happens is you may get a lot of favorites, and my next question would be, do you have coupons turned on?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. I did not for the first day, and gosh, I don't. It must have been one of your videos or Lizzie's videos or something. And I
Yeah,
was like, oh, I can just send them an email somehow. So I think it's like, yeah, if they save it, they get like a 15% for that item, I think is how it works. Or to the shop in general, maybe. I don't remember how exactly I said it. I think I just said it to everything. And
yeah,
then, yeah, and then I try to, I'm not running ads on, or sorry, I'm not running a sale on the hoodie because it would severely limit the amount, like, of money that you would make just because of print on demand shipping kind of a little bit.
mhm,
But I am running a sale on the digital product, which may also be why that one's getting more clicks and spending more. And that one definitely has the most amount of saves for sure. But yeah, it's only been since Friday, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is your coupon sale amount higher than what you have for the sale for the digital product? Is
No, I do for the digital product, I'm just doing 50% right now. Because
okay.
they're like kind of new, right? Like I listed them and it's like I'm just trying to do it like kind of new, I guess. Like I don't know if I would do that forever. I feel like what I see is commonly something like 20 to 30. Um
Mhm.
and it could be an error on my part. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go 50. How about that? Like
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
then someone could be like, oh, this is cheap, it sucks or whatever.
yeah, so I feel like this is a great Kittl conversation, just for, like, Etsy, like, for anyone watching, because even well, so here is what, I'm kind of hearing from what you've said about your sale that you have turned on. So, one thing that I've noticed, and this is what I practice in my Etsy, shops, that, I'd say are, they've both done pretty decent now,
Right.
that, I've practiced and I've noticed is having a sale. So your set sale price, this is what I generally like to do, because sometimes your pricing can come into a factor in why you're not converting too.
Mm,
And that might be possibly the cause of why your other listings may not be, kind of ramping up, and the Etsy ads isn't spending, because maybe it could be the pricing too, that your
yeah,
competition might have a sale running and you may not be. So
right.
what I've personally done, and I do this, I'd say weekly, or every other day, is I usually set a sale of around 15% off, not to the point that I'm going to like lose money. Um,
So is that's on the shop or like like certain listings?
I do all of my listings.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay. Got it.
and then I offer my coupons that's a higher discount rate than the
Oh,
sale price. So, and that's just to bring people back, because Etsy will email your customers. So if you have coupons turned on in your marketing, for those watching, if you have those coupons turned on, let's say that you're getting a lot of favorites and people are
yeah.
favoriting your items, but they're not buying, and you're like, okay, what's happening here, because people seem to like this product but they're not buying. If you have, let's say, the abandoned cart coupon turned on, or the favorite item coupon turned on, and let's say for your example, Drew, you have,
Yeah.
I mean, let's say you have one listing, 15% off, it's always 15% off. And that customer, they favorite it and they go away from the cart, they forget about the product, they end up not buying. They're, they go back with their day, maybe they're on their lunch break, and then Etsy emails them and they get a email that says, "Oh, by the way, we saw that you left this cart. Here's 5% off." So instead they get that 20% coupon sent to them. That can trigger a lot of people to buy from just having that coupon turned on and just a little bit higher of a discount offered. That's at least what I've seen in my shop that I think really attributes to me kind of reclaiming those people that went away.
Mm,
Maybe they saved the product. And even when they log back into Etsy, they'll get a notification on Etsy, or if they have the Etsy app, they'll get a notification on their phone if they have phone notifications turned on. So that's one big converter, especially if you have the ads running and you have a lot of those favorites. So I would suggest maybe trying that type of sale and
okay.
coupon. But that that could be another reason why those items aren't getting sales. But it could come
Yeah,
down to keywords as well. Could come down to the
sure.
thumbnail image. There's so many reasons.
Yeah, and this is why, we were talking earlier. This is why I absolutely love having people like you on the channel to talk through this for Kittl users, creators, designers, because we at Kittl are working extremely hard to make sure that we're providing quality templates, giving you the features to do things. But for me, that doesn't mean that I'm not the Etsy bestseller. You know what I mean? You are. So it's like, this is why I love having conversations with like this, and having people like you and Sandra and Lizzie on to give us the mini master classes. And this is why we have some amazing Kittl users like Julian, I think of all the time, holding it down in the Discord, became a bestseller on Etsy in like 2 or 3 months, selling customizable journals that he makes in Kittl. And he watches our videos where you all go through it, and this is why this is so great. So that was just my, like, want to make sure everybody again goes and checks out Heather's channel if you want to succeed on Etsy, because we can point you to the niches and the sub niches 100%, but to get
Mhm.
down into the nitty gritty, like the SEO that she's talking about, yeah, it just takes a little bit more work.
I think this is like really great because I've had these discussions like in just like one-on-one coaching calls with
Yeah.
prior clients. So it's kind of cool that we're like filming this because
Yeah.
especially when you're a new shop, because it's really like for me, I didn't know any of this. Like
Mm.
I just learned this through time, and like
Yeah.
I studied a lot of the top shops, and these are things that I just saw them doing, and I was like, you know what? Like let me try putting on a sale. The other bit of advice I would give too for anyone watching who may be like similar, you know, even you were mentioning about the shipping cutting into your costs.
Mm.
And if it's shipping versus putting on a sale, I would maybe not offer free shipping if you were offering free shipping, because I think that could again give you higher conversion rates, maybe get more sales over time by not offering free shipping and just putting a sale on. That's something that I've noticed once I made that switch.
Yeah.
I started seeing more sales too. So,
Yeah, that's a good idea because, yeah, I mean, Etsy's always going to give you that uh, number plus, right? Which is
mhm.
like sometimes deceiving, right? You see, like, it'll say like 15 plus, but like nothing's $15. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? But at the same time, somebody clicks through and they're like, oh, but I really want this. They're going to buy it. Like if someone really does want it, they will buy it. So that, yeah,
yeah,
that's a great tip for sure, because I know that's a question a lot of people, or not a question, but it's a fear I think a lot of people have. And that's, again, we could do a whole nother video another time about just pricing, I think.
yeah,
um, because and I love listening to just the theory on pricing, whether I'm talking to Juna about, like, for Amazon or for Redbubble or Etsy for t-shirts. But like there are just so many ideas that go into pricing, because when you're using a print on demand fulfillment center like Printify, you have all of these factors like shipping and the production cost, and then you have what you're going to sell, what you're going to list it for. And I think people's people's number one idea is like, oh, well, I got to at least make, $5, $6, $7, $8. And then your listing, I think, may be a little bit too expensive, I think, right? Between everyone else. But like
Yeah.
you're saying, not necessarily having everything look like it's free shipping, which is cool when the store says that or the listing says that. The reality is having the shipping costs there with a sale probably still looks better. And I think that's what you're kind of hitting at, right?
Yeah, I think that a lot of customers, this is just from my own perspective again. Sometimes I put on my little customer hat and
Yeah.
I look at the search and I look at my competition on Etsy, especially with any category I'm in, and I like look at everyone's pricing structures and I'll see people with free shipping. If we put total cart value into perspective, people with free shipping are charging almost the same as someone without free shipping. It as far as
Right.
total cart value with shipping added or not added because
Right.
the seller's offering it. So I think customers are very intuitive now that they see that, and I think that the people who have the lower pricing without free shipping are getting more add to carts than in purchases rather than the free shipping, as far as I've seen with my shop, because I've done both. I've tested out both. And ever since I kind of went to this model of just doing no free shipping, it's
No,
really
yeah.
been kind of paying off in that regard. So
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's great advice. I mean, I also think that, yeah, it can sometimes be, of course, equal in terms of value,
yeah.
but oftentimes you will see more listings with a sale than not when they don't offer free shipping. So sometimes you can go in the win just as a customer.
Mhm.
As a customer looking at stuff, you can come out in the green if you see the one with the sale. And I would also say, like, not that I want to have a full blown conversation about pricing, but like, the big ticket items, which I would say are probably like something like a hoodie, which is more expensive. I mean, there is literally more cloth to it. Um,
Mhm.
when I was looking at it, again, I only have one listed, it's not a big deal or anything, but just when I was thinking of it, you sit there and I feel like a lot of people can fall into this trap. You sit there and you look at the little profit margin thing that Printful or Printify or Gelato or whatever you want to use, and you start putting numbers in there and you're like, oh, $11 profit, oh, $10. And that's a trap, I think, that for you to sit there and try to play with that tool. I would just put it at a reasonable hoodie price and make $3 on the sale for a little bit, if that, just to get reviews.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I'm thinking of. Like, again, I don't
Yeah.
want to turn this into a pricing conversation, but what would you? Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
what you want, right?
I was gonna say, I think, when you first start off, and I'll make this very, very quick because I could go into like you said, a whole other conversation, but,
Turn the podcast on.
I
Yeah,
know. We're gonna have to, and then I'll
yeah,
I'll bring you on the podcast, and
yeah.
we'll talk, pricing updates with Drew.
Right.
How
Yeah,
his store
pricing.
is doing. Yeah, after applying these concepts.
Yeah,
But as far as pricing goes, I will say that when you first start off, I would not keep your focus on profit. I would rather
yeah,
keep it on getting first sales, first reviews, and then the profit will come later. That is what I have done since the beginning of my businesses. Most businesses, and this is just coming from more of an entrepreneurship standpoint, is most businesses start off in whole lot of debt. Brick and mortar businesses, thousands and thousands of dollars you have to invest in order to see a profit. And sometimes those brick and mortar businesses don't see profit within,
right.
their first year. It's very rare to see a profit. So, with that in perspective, usually with print on demand and Etsy or even digital businesses, you see return on investment quite quickly. With print on demand, usually it's a few months down the
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
Some people, it could be a year. It's that journey is not going to look the same as it looked for me. For me, it was a few months. It wasn't until my third or fourth month I started seeing some real profit come in. By the sixth month, I was seeing a few $1,000s of profit where
yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, I can quit my job with this. But
yeah.
again, my journey is not going to look like everyone else's. Everyone's is going to be unique in their own way. I've had students and clients who it took 2 years, or a few years. I've had other people who have seen it faster than I have. So
Mm.
it's, everyone's unique in that regard. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's such a good word, and I think the key value there is just patience. I think that's what it takes. And I think that we as creative people, designer people, we want to see fast results, of course, because we put a lot of work into what we're doing. But it just sometimes it's just patience, and that's what it's going to take, and it takes a little bit of time, and also I just come back to think of like, you gotta put some skin in the game first. Etsy's got to know that you're there to play. Like, are you working on putting the listings up, right? And that just me personally, that's something I'm just working on, just actually putting listings up, right? And
mhm,
I also, yeah, I like to think about it from that perspective is like, you can think that you have a world-class design and you probably do, especially if you use Kittl.
mm,
But there's more work to be had, right? To make sure that it's getting seen by the right people. But yeah,
mhm,
the last thing I wanted to ask, because I know you talk on your channel about Everbee a lot. For someone that would want to, because I know you love to talk about SEO, so I'm just setting you up for an easy one here.
yeah.
Do you think that's like the ultimate tool? Are there multiple tools that you would use to kind of like research? I've been playing with eRank. I just have the free one, of course.
Mhm.
Thinking about putting, maybe even a little tutorial on Kittl, just showing what eRank looks like. Yeah, what are the tools that you would say are the best and that people maybe should use?
Yeah. So my two have always been Everbee, eRank. I would say like the number one tool. I kind of almost take it back what I just said because number one tool is Etsy first
Sure.
and foremost. It's completely free. You can just go on Etsy and search certain keywords and see what populates on Etsy. However, I will say the downside to Etsy is now a relevancy search engine. So, and it also
Mm,
pulls
okay.
historical data from your previous searches. So, if you're an Etsy seller and you have a print on demand business, this is what happens for me is I'm always looking up mock-up images. So, now with those keywords in mind of mock-up images, anytime I search, let's say dog mom gift, mock-up images and mock-up
Ah,
shops are going to show up on the Etsy search. So
interesting.
yeah, that's one wrench thrown into that free resource. Now, what I will say is what I like is Everbee for the Google Chrome extension because
Okay.
that gives me basically I like to use it as like a superpower almost because
Mm,
it kind of gives you that X-ray vision on Etsy when you're searching. Because Everbee uses, I've talked to the CEO of Everbee, and he
wow.
explained this. I'm going to say this in a really wrong way. He has his own podcast. It's the Everbee podcast,
Nice.
and he interviews like a lot of successful
Nice.
Etsy-preneurs and all. And what he was explaining is they pull from a different server that cannot be influenced by those relevant searches or historical data from your previous searches. So it kind of gives you that x-ray vision. So when you type in a search query on the Etsy search, it will populate and you can pull the data from product analytics and see like what's ranked top as bestsellers. So
Nice.
that's essentially what I did prior before Etsy started using the relevancy and historical data. So what I used to use is not what I can use now due to
Hmm.
Etsy's updates. And I know I'm so sorry. I'm like going back and forth in
Oh, no,
tangents here
you're
today.
good. You're good. This
Um,
is all good.
yeah, but Etsy is what I used to use when I began, but it's not, you really can't use it to that regard. You can use like Google Chrome on private browsing, but
Yes.
still, once you start searching, it's going to start showing you again your historical data, even on the private browsing. So that's where it kind of gets tricky. So that's why I like using Everbee or eRank because it pulls that data that's from those basic like servers that aren't, it's
Yeah.
not affected or influenced by your previous searches. So
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, so but I use Everbee because when you can use the search bar and it will show you the search volume too on a
Oh, in
monthly
the search
basis.
bar.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Nice.
use that as a Google Chrome. That's one way. And then sometimes I use it just to pull historical data of Etsy like bestsellers to see what sold last year, especially for seasonal items.
Mm,
Like, if you search right now for Christmas items, there's not going to be bestsellers. There might be bestsellers given sometimes you might see that in July, but if you search for like Christmas gifts, it's not going to show you any bestsellers right now on Etsy just because it's not in trend. But what Everbee does is it pulls that historical data. And I'm a history type person, like what worked
in the past, yeah.
yeah, in the past is going to work again. So I like pulling that data, and that's what Everbee is like opening that history book. And it's
Nice.
like, okay, so anyways, I could go in 10 more different
No, that's
tangents, but
great. Yeah, I think that for those watching, listening, give them a try. I think that you with the knowledge that you just mentioned about Etsy kind of having the search update, of course, still strong though, because if you're searching in your niche and you find the listings, you can easily click into some of these bestseller listings and see what they're doing, of course.
mhm,
But these other kind of like third party, not specific to your browsing history or anything. They're just giving you the facts.
yeah.
Can be really good. So definitely check out one of those, and I'll link those down in the description. Well, Heather, this has been awesome. I mean, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and I just can't wait for people to start putting these tips into practice that you're talking about. Now, is there anything or anywhere that you want to point people? Is there any updates you want to give? I know you mentioned talking about a course, which I know is great. I have friends that have gone through your course and loved it. Like, where should people go to find out more, or yeah, just what's going on that you want people to know?
Yeah. So I'm on YouTube. I'm doing a new series right now where I open a new shop and I document it in a vlog
Mm,
style format. So that's
wow.
what I'm working on right now. I'm showing how to basically scale a new shop. Um, and outside of that, I do have my free print on demand crash course. So if you haven't started in the world of print on demand yet and Etsy, I have just like the core fundamentals that you need to know in order to begin. So if you're interested in beginning, um, through being on Kittl or the conversation surrounding Etsy, and you're like, you know what, print on demand sounds really intriguing and something that you might be looking to do, but you don't know how to get started. That print on demand crash course I have, again, it's completely free. It's on my website, and also it's usually in my links of my YouTube.
Yeah,
I suggest people starting there to see if they like it before they kind of dive in even deeper. That's where people go into my Print on Demand Academy course. I've had students from that who have hit six figures in their own businesses within a
wow.
year, which is really cool to say.
Yeah,
Like, and my program's only 1 year old now, so and that I was like, wow, this is awesome because that was what I initially wanted from that course. So and I have interviews with those students on my YouTube channel too. But outside of that, that's kind of just what I do right now. Maybe a podcast is in next year's, uh, you know, uh, inner workings of my channel and
yeah.
everything. But right now, that's kind of just what I'm working on right now is to help people get started with print on demand and Etsy if that's what they're looking to do, or at least try it out for free, and see if if that's something that's going to work for them in their lives. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for talking through that. Again, thanks so much for taking the time to hang out and talk through this. Everyone, please don't forget to subscribe to Kittl. It'll take you just a couple seconds if you haven't already. It's the red button. It's right there. Like this video. Maybe share it with someone that's also interested in print on demand or going through something, or another, design person you think that would succeed in print on demand. Share this video with them. I think that'd be really awesome. And we hope you all have a great rest of your day. So we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
See you guys.
Now, if you want to see other tutorials using Kittl, I have these videos here on my right that I know you're going to enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any upcoming videos and features and things like that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.